everyone, and welcome to the Bold and Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Amanda, and I've titled this week's episode, High School Sweethearts. I hope you guys had a great week this week. Mine was pretty busy, and I had to watch all the episodes in one night and do my notes. I'm going to be honest, the show is really hard to watch because it's so sad and just twisted. But watching them all in one night was a lot, I'm not gonna lie, because most of the scenes are sad, so it kind of puts you in a depressed mood. But I still love the soap opera and I'm still going to watch it. Trust me, many times over the years, I have been very angry at the show, but I continue to watch it because I am a loyal fan, and I've watched it for so many years now that it's almost like a part of my life. You know, the soap opera is a lot like real life. Bad things happen, but you have to go through the bad things to get to the good things, so that's just the way it is. The point is, hang in there, guys. I promise it will get better. Now let's get into the news. I don't have much for this week. I do want to say, if you haven't heard already, congratulations to Jacqueline McGinnis Woods for having a beautiful baby boy on March 4th that they named Rise, R-I-S-E, Harlan. And I saw pictures and he is so adorable. They were also on People magazine, and you can look on her socials because she also posted photos of them. So I want to say congratulations to them, and I hope that she is enjoying her maternity leave. I want to really quickly give a shout out to Renee B. She wrote me a funny comment that I really appreciated. She wrote, I enjoyed your talk on here and laughed, especially at the end part, because we are so alike. Done with the triangle. Too bad we couldn't watch with a glass of wine and yell at the TV together. And Renee, I really wish we could have, because I was definitely yelling at the TV last week and especially this whole month. And to watch this, you definitely need a glass of wine. So thanks for your comment, Renee. It's much appreciated. And that is all the news I have for this week. So enough of the chit chat. Let's get to the recap. So that brings us into Monday, February the 4th. The show opens at Steffy's house. Steffy is obviously overwhelmed again. With the girls and work, it's a lot. Then Ridge stops by and she is so happy to see him for sure. She immediately hands him Kelly. Ridge explains that he came by to check on her. And she tells him about what happened with Hope and what she tried to do a few days ago. Like everyone, Ridge is shocked. Then, of course, he asked if Steffy wants Liam back. Thankfully, Steffy says no. She wishes things would have worked out with Liam, but they didn't. And she wouldn't have Phoebe if Liam were there now. And then Ridge holds Phoebe and comments that it's really weird that she kind of looks like Kelly. Thank you. Okay? Salt in the wound. Appreciate that. Now we head over to the bikini bar with Flo and Zoe. Zoe is still trying to convince Flo that she needs to leave town ASAP. But for some reason, Flo does not want to leave. She says that she wants to stay because she wants a fresh start. And this, of course, is really making Zoe angry. Now we head over to the cabin with Liam and Wyatt. Wyatt has stopped by to tell Liam about his deal with Bill. Liam is happy for him, but he's also a little sad that they won't be working together anymore, and that's understandable. I used to work with my brother at a car dealership because I was a title clerk / cashier, and my brother worked in the service department. And believe it or not, we had so much fun working together and was very sad when it ended. So I totally get this. We also learned that Hope and Katie are meeting at Bikini Bar to try and cheer Hope up. Then Liam tells Wyatt about Hope's recent behavior and her wanting him to get back with Steffy. Wyatt, like everyone, is shocked. So Liam explains everything that happened with Hope and Steffy. And Wyatt, of course, asks if Liam wants to be with Hope or if he wants to be with Steffy. He kind of waffles and does his normal Liam not really answering, but eventually he makes it clear that he wants to stay with Hope. And then Wyatt has to start meddling, like everyone else, and he asked, what if Hope is right? This makes me a little angry, I'm not gonna lie. Come on, Wyatt. We all know how Liam is, okay? He's a flip-flopper, right? And he can never make up his mind. He's finally made up his mind. Could you please not confuse him? He actually made a decision for once. And then he sees that Liam gets a little upset, so Wyatt starts to backpedal. I'm not saying Hope is right, etc., etc. And then Liam tells Wyatt that there is one thing that Hope is right about. Phoebe is special, and they both feel a connection to her. More salt in the wound, thanks. Now we head over to Forrester Creations in the showroom with Zoe, Xander, and Jenny. And if you didn't hear last week, Jenny is a famous Canadian host. Well, the actress that's playing Jenny is a famous Canadian host. So this is the Jenny that I was talking about last week. Jenny gives Zoe and Xander news that their call time is at 7 a.m. in the morning. Then she comments on their accents and she leaves. This sparks a competition between Zoe and Xander to see who can lose their accent completely first and who is going to waver and forget or mess up. The prize for the winner is to be determined later. Then Zoe is clearly bothered about something. So she tells Xander that she can't believe Flo is still in town, and it really bothers her. Well, Xander thinks this is kind of weird, and he wants to know the truth. Why does Flo bother her so much? Her dad's not even in town anymore. And of course, she can't tell him the truth, so she just, brushes off the question. Back at Bikini Bar with Flo, Katie, and Hope. Katie and Hope have arrived and they sit down at the bar. They're chit-chatting and talking about Hope's recent behavior and things that have happened, and unbeknownst to them, Flo is behind the bar eavesdropping. Katie and Hope are talking about everything that has happened, and of course, Katie's trying to make her feel better. It's not your fault, blah, blah, blah. And Hope mentions Dr. Buckingham's name, and then Flo realizes that this is definitely the infamous Hope. She's so freaked out that she drops a glass and it shatters everywhere, startling Katie and Hope. And Hope asks if Flo's okay. Then Katie lets Hope know that she has something she has to go take care of, so Katie leaves. And Flo really is acting weird. She tells Hope how sorry she is and that she has something to tell her, and that's how Monday ends, with dramatic music. So that brings us into Tuesday, February the 5th. The show opens at Bikini Bar with Hope and Flo talking at the bar. So Flo tells Hope that she overheard her talking to Katie and she's really sorry about her baby. Then Flo comes out from behind the bar and tells Hope that there's something she really needs to know. Flo begins to tell Hope who she is, and of course, Zoe walks in and stops her. This run-in then forces Zoe to tell Hope who Flo really is. So she tells her that Flo is Phoebe's bio mom. And of course, Hope is so sweet, and she thanks Flo for bringing Phoebe into their lives and how special Phoebe is and how she brings her peace. And then Hope leaves in tears. Zoe gives Flo a very dirty look because she knows Flo was about to tell Hope something. But was she really? I guess we'll never know now. Now we head over to Steffy's house with Ridge and Steffy. They are both googly-eyed over Phoebe, which is understandable. Ridge is happy to be there. and happy to help out. And poor Steffy has to tell him again that she does not want Liam back, especially this way. They are both grieving, and Hope was not thinking clearly. She was not in her right mind when she came up with this crazy plan, which is totally true. Now we head over to the cabin with Liam and Wyatt. Liam does tell Wyatt that he would like to be Phoebe's father figure. He insists that Phoebe is special and just can't put his finger on it, but she's special. And then Wyatt lets Liam know that he wants to be the funkle, the fun uncle. And Liam thinks that's funny. So, like this is not hard enough, they're going to continue to pour salt into the wound. You know what, guys? I think we all deserve a margarita for all the salt that we're having to put up with. And like we're not sad enough. Liam comments how he could never imagine having a daughter out in the world and not being her dad. Really? Really? For reasons that I don't really understand, Wyatt continues to try and talk Liam into being with Steffy, which is really weird to me. And I just love how everyone thinks they can just choose for Steffy what she wants. Last time I checked, Steffy doesn't want Liam back. Okay? Then, weirdly, before Wyatt leaves, he gives Liam a pep talk about how him and Hope are gonna make it through together and they can do this as a couple and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird. Pick a lane, Wyatt. Pick a lane. Back over at Steffi's. Now this is where I started to get mad. Steffy says one thing, but that's not what she really thinks completely. So I'm a little confused. Because I loved her Miss Independent, I don't need Liam, and his flip-flopping, I'm better than that storyline. But now we are slowly going backwards, and I do not like it. Steffy is sitting on the couch thinking about Liam and getting back together with him and thinking about everything that Hope said the other day. And it's just like, please stop, because you are about to go down the same road again. And everyone knows she's gonna get hurt if she gets back with Liam. It always happens. It's inevitable. Now we head back to the cabin with Hope and Liam. And Hope just got home and she is very quiet. So Liam wants to know what's up. She tells him what happened at Bikini Bar with Flo and Zoe. And they're both kind of shocked because of all the people in the world meeting Phoebe's bio mom. Like, what a coincidence, right? Now we head back to Bikini Bar with Flo and Zoe. Okay, you know what? I am not a huge fan of Flo, but I'm starting to like her more and more. Think about this for a second. She was used by Reese because he knew that she had feelings for him, and he used them against her. And now she's being used by Zoe to protect him. And Zoe is trying to tell her what to do and boss her around, and she's not being nice about it either. She's being rude about it. So Zoe has no right to be bossing Flo around, but that does not stop her from doing it. She gives Flo a lecture about keeping her mouth shut, and they have to protect Reese. And then Flo admits that she's having a really hard time dealing with the guilt. If she had known in the beginning what Reese was doing, she never would have participated. Flo also realizes that Zoe only cares about her father. What about poor Hope? Then Zoe demands that Flo quit her job and leave tonight immediately. Poor Flo. And I can't believe I just said that. Then Zoe leaves. Flo walks back into work really sad and runs right into Wyatt. And we realize that they know each other. And that's how Tuesday ends. So that brings us into Wednesday, February the 6th. The show opens at the cabin with Hope and Liam. Hope tells Liam about what happened at Bikini with Flo. They both agree that's a hell of a coincidence. What are the odds? Please, someone, anyone, use your brains. Figure this out, please. How and why would Zoe know anything about the adoption? Okay? Why don't someone question that? So Liam is trying to find out how Flo and Zoe are connected. Good question. That's a good question. Keep on that track, Liam. All of this seems odd to both of them. Hope also noticed that there seemed to be a lot of tension between the two of them. That does seem odd, doesn't it? So Liam wants to know all about Flo. Is she nice? Does Hope like her? He really would like to get the chance to meet the woman that brought Phoebe into the world. Really? Really? More salt, please. Wow, really? You're looking at her, Liam. You're literally looking at her in the face right now. Hope explains that Flo seems really sweet and very nice, and she liked her a lot so far. And then Hope tells Liam that she is not really up to going to dinner at Wyatt's. And Liam's like, ugh, you have to go. We need to get out of the house. Like, you need to go. But you can tell she really doesn't want to. Now we head over to Forster Creations in the showroom with Zoe, Sally, Tiffany, and Xander. Sally is telling them the good news about her new company with Bill and Wyatt. Tiffany wishes Sally good luck, and then she has to leave to go do some work. Sally and Xander notice that Zoe seems upset. Of course, she brushes it off. She tells them that she ran into someone she would rather she didn't. No big deal. Sally then explains how Wyatt made the deal with Bill, and none of it would be possible without him, and that she's so lucky to have him, and she loves him so much. Uh-oh. She invites Zoe and Xander over for dinner tonight with Hope and Liam. Xander says yes, but Zoe quickly says no. We have plans. She can't be around Hope because of her guilt, is what I'm guessing. Zoe then tells Xander that they are going to be together tonight alone at her place. Now we head over to the bikini bar with Wyatt and Flo. We learn that they definitely know each other. Apparently, Wyatt ghosted her. They were high school sweethearts, and he just up and left Vegas with no explanation, just gone. But Flo assures him, because of course it's Wyatt, and he's, I'm so sorry. But Flo assures him it's fine, because it was a really long time ago. And Wyatt, being Wyatt, because he's a nice guy, says that he feels horrible about hurting her, and he really wants to explain what happened. Basically, his mom, Quinn, did something really shady in their jewelry business, or was at least accused of doing something really shady. So they had to take off really quickly without warning. Flo believes him, so she is very forgiving and says that, she understands it was a long time ago. So then Wyatt starts to tell her what's been going on in his life. About meeting his father, changing his name from Fuller to Spencer, etc., etc. To be honest, I'm a little surprised by this. I just never actually thought of Wyatt as the kind of guy that would ghost someone. Like, I feel like he would go out of his way to try to call her, even if he had to use a payphone. But he does have Bill Spencer's DNA, so, I almost forgot about that part. So they continue to chit-chat. She asked him questions about his life, typical small talk. And then Flo tells him that she's single, and they both agree that it's been really great to see each other. He asked her if she has any children, and she says no. Then Flo tells Wyatt that she loved him, and that night before he left, she was going to tell him that. And then she kisses him. He is definitely caught off guard, for sure. But he does not push her away either. Then she wants to go to dinner with him. And we already know Sally has a dinner planned for tonight. So I'm going, okay, Wyatt, what are you doing? Because at first he was like, oh yeah, we need to get together, blah, blah, blah. And then he realizes what he's doing. And he finally says, you know what? I'm not single. I'm actually living with someone. And I'm like, oh, finally he remembers Sally. Then weirdly, Wyatt invites Flo to his dinner with Sally. And I'm like, what the F? Are you kidding me? Like, what is happening here? Talk about awkward. At first she says no. But then Wyatt, being Wyatt, talks her into it. I think this is insane. Like, I think this is asking for trouble. He gives her his address and then he leaves. And that's how Wednesday ends. I can tell you right now, if my husband invited his ex to my dinner, we are going to have problems. I am not down with that. Sorry. Not sorry. So that brings us into Thursday, February the 7th. The show opens at Wyatt's house with Wyatt and Sally. And they are getting ready for their dinner party. Sally has to leave and run to the store real quick because Wyatt invited more people and they need more food. A few minutes later, Flo arrives. And she looks beautiful, by the way. She has on a really cute short white dress. Very cute. Wyatt talks to Flo about moving to LA. He thinks she should. Then they chit-chat, and a few minutes later, Sally gets back home. And she's super sweet to Flo, and everything's going good so far. Now we head over to the cabin with Hope and Liam. They are getting ready for dinner, and Hope is still trying to get out of going. But Liam won't hear it. He does not want to go without her. They talk a little bit, he calms her down, and he talks her into going. Because he feels like it'll be really good for her. Now we head over to Steffy's house with Steffy and Taylor. Taylor is finally back, so we learn why she hasn't been around. She has been busy starting her practice up again. Which, I'm happy for her, if that's what she really wants to do. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little concerned. Because is she mentally stable enough to be helping other people become mentally stable? I don't know. Taylor is helping out, and she cuts her finger. Not bad or anything, but she does admit that she's out of practice in the kitchen for sure. And this kind of scares Steffi. She's concerned, about her mom, but they end up laughing about it. Steffi tells her that she is scared that Flo may be having second thoughts. She hasn't heard from her or anything like that, but if it was her, like if Steffi was in Flo's position, she knows she would be having major second thoughts. I think this is totally normal. I know that if I choose the adoption route, I would also be concerned. You're always concerned because you're in love with this child and you don't want it to be taken away from you. I think that's a normal fear when it comes to adoption. She's also worried about Phoebe not ever being able to know Flo because she feels like Phoebe would want to know her mom eventually, but that's not what Flo wants. So, what are you going to do? So, Taylor assures Steffi everything will be fine. She's Phoebe's mother in every way that counts, and no one can take her away. Really? Really? Over at Zoe's apartment with Xander and Zoe. Zoe has cooked pot roast for Xander, and these two are enjoying each other's company. But Xander sees that something is bothering her, and he wants to know what it is. Of course, she dodges the question. She can't tell him the truth. They sit down to eat, and he is impressed with her cooking skills. And he tells her as much. But he feels like there's just something that Zoe is not telling him. He feels like she's holding something back. It's obvious that her dad did something to upset her before he left. And Zoe just wants him to drop it. She doesn't want to talk about Reese tonight. So of course, they eat, one thing leads to another, and they're kissing. Then Zoe leaves the room for a few seconds and she comes back in wearing lingerie. The making out continues. Now we head back over to Wyatt's house. Hope and Liam have arrived, and Hope is definitely shocked when she sees Flo. She is shook. She immediately tells Liam out loud who Flo is. And she doesn't mean to, she just blurts it out. Flo then feels the need to explain. So she tells Liam that Wyatt and herself were high school sweethearts, which, by the way, is news to Sally. So when Wyatt obviously explained that he invited a high school friend, he left out the part that they were sweethearts. Not cool, Wyatt. Not cool. Then Hope fills everyone in on how she met Flo today at the bikini bar. Then Wyatt puts all this together, and he wants to know why Flo didn't tell him anything. Why she said she never had any kids. And Liam looks at Hope and he whispers in her ear, he's like, wow, this is awkward. So Flo wants to get out of there because she is feeling strange, right? She's feeling freaked out, honestly. But everyone insists that she stay. They all apologize for asking her all these questions. Hope is very sorry that she just blurted all this out. And Flo is overwhelmed. And she begins to tear up. And Hope is being so sweet and so kind to her. And so is Liam, which is just making her guilt that much worse. She looks like she's about to crack. And Hope says, it sounds like you're trying to tell us something, Flo. And Flo says, yes, I am. And it's about Phoebe. And that's how Thursday ends. Don't get your hopes up, guys. Do not get your hopes up. I'm not gonna lie. I let myself get very hopeful and excited because I thought maybe she's gonna tell them. It was a mistake. So that brings us into Friday, February the 8th. The show opens at Wyatt's with Flo, Hope, Liam, Wyatt, and Sally. They made us think that Flo was going to tell everyone the truth. But she says that they don't deserve to be going through all of this pain. And you guys guessed it, Flo ends up not telling them. Big shocker, not. So Wyatt wants to make sure Flo is okay while everyone else is distracted. Flo says that she's okay, but they agree that this whole thing is crazy and one hell of a coincidence. Then Wyatt takes a pic and he posts it on his Instagram. Now we head over to Steffy's with Steffy and Taylor. Taylor once again brings up that Liam should be there helping her raise the girls. Which then that leads Steffy to tell Taylor about what happened with Hope and Liam the other day. She, like everyone else, was surprised to say the least. Steffy then tells her that ultimately Liam got through to Hope and she put her ring back on. And Taylor looks truly disappointed. Almost like annoyed. Then Steffy explains that Hope is not thinking clearly and there's no way she would hurt her right now. And Taylor feels that Steffy should do what's best for her girls, not what's best for Hope. Wow, Taylor has zero compassion and I am not happy about it. Once again, Taylor starts her same old crap, different day. Hope stole Liam, just like Brooke stole Ridge, etc., etc. I'm so tired of hearing this. It's old. Move on, Taylor. Please. Then Steffy is also tired of it. And Steffy reminds her that Hope is not like Brooke. And she needs to stop making Steffy the victim. Because she's not one. She is happy. And she's over her mom's crap. She says, look, Mom, I am not a victim. And quit making me one. So then Taylor feels bad. She finally agrees that Steffy's not a victim. And that she's very proud of her. And She quickly changes her tune because it's really starting to piss Steffy off, and she realizes this. Honestly, Taylor is nuts. Okay, I have a lot to say when we get to the end about this, and I'm having a hard time holding my tongue right now, but I have a lot to say about this. Now we head over to Zoe's apartment with Zoe and Xander. The making out continues. And one thing leads to another. Everyone knows how this goes, right? So they finally have sex. And you know it's gonna happen when you hear the sexy sax music that always comes on, which very much cracks me up. So afterwards, Xander and Zoe are cuddling and having pillow talk. And then Zoe checks her phone. And she sees the photo that Wyatt posted earlier. She completely freaks out. Because in the background, you can see Hope and Liam are there at the dinner also. And she is acting very crazy, like very strange. And Xander is confused and worried because she jumps up out of the bed and she gets dressed and she's acting all weird. And Xander is really starting to worry about her strange behavior. And now she is acting even more strange. And she tells him that she has to go. Well, poor guy, of course, he's gonna think it's him because that's how guys are. She could have explained a little, or at least given him something, right? This is like the first time that they've been intimate as far as we know. And she just jumps up out of the bed and has to take off after looking at her phone. I could totally see how he might feel a certain way about this. Yeah, I can definitely see that. If you flip it around, if he looked at his phone and then jumped up right after sex with her and said, I have to go, she would be like freaking out. Now we head back to Wyatt's house. Hope is apologizing again for just blurting out who Flo is in front of everyone. And Flo is struggling with her guilt, especially because Hope and everyone is being so nice and so welcoming to her. I almost really feel sorry for her. And then I think in my head, she could have said something by now. Like she could have said something. And then I feel mad at her. So I have really mixed emotions about Flo, to be honest. Liam, Wyatt, and Sally go out to the porch to cook on the grill. They are relieved that Hope seems to be handling all this really well. And they all think that so far, Flo seems like a really sweet person. Almost a lot like Hope. Liam is thankful to Flo for bringing Phoebe into their lives, that's for sure. On the other side of the room, Hope and Flo are talking, and so far everything is going good. But then it comes up that Hope can't even think about having another child. It's just too hard, and she cannot go through that again. Then Flo gets very passionate. She almost begs Hope to not give up. She wants her to promise that she will try to have another child because she knows that Hope is meant to be a mother. And you can tell this Hope's a little uncomfortable by the conversation, and that's how Friday ends. Okay, so let's break this down. I'm totally shocked that Wyatt knows Flo, number one. I'm also extremely curious if Wyatt is going to tell Sally about their kiss because he didn't even tell her they were high school sweethearts. So I'm thinking probably not. I am worried, though, if Sally finds out, I'm worried about her reaction. She did shoot at Wyatt once already, and she also shot Bill's precious Sky. So we obviously know Sally has a bad temper. And obviously, Wyatt and Flo were at one time in love. And this is definitely getting more and more complicated by the minute. The double standard here is too much, okay? Just think about this for a second. Let's flip it around. If Sally ran into Thomas, kissed him, then invited him to dinner at Wyatt's house. Wyatt would then have a huge problem with this, okay? We all know that. Oh, but it's perfectly okay for Wyatt to invite his ex over. Perfectly cool. That's fine. No big deal. And the fact that he left out that they dated or were sweethearts or whatever you want to call it, that bothers me. If I was Sally, that would bother the hell out of me. Because why would you keep that from me? If there's nothing to it, you have no feels, right? You have no feelings for her. Why would you not tell me that? So, a little side note, I would love to know what shady business that Quinn was involved in. I would love to know what kind of trouble she got herself into in Las Vegas. Moving on, let's talk about Flo and Zoe. If I were Flo, I would tell Zoe real quick, look, little girl, don't talk to me like that. That bossing me around and talking to me like I'm a child, I think not. I'm an adult. I'll do what I damn well please. Get off my jock, in the famous words of Bethany Frankel. I have so many mixed emotions about Flo. I feel bad for her because she was definitely used by Reese. But at the same time, she has had multiple opportunities to tell the truth and she hasn't done it. I feel bad that she's feeling guilty, but not really because it's her own fault. Moving on to Taylor. She is like a damn broken record. The same crap over and over and over. If you're new to the show, I have griped about this many times before. So I don't want to go on and on. But if you have been listening, then you've heard me gripe about this many times. I'm just going to give you a short version really quick. First, Brooke did not steal Ridge. He is not an object. He is a human being. And he chose Brooke because he has always loved her. And by the way, Brooke came first. He was in love with Brooke first. So if you want to get technical, Taylor stole him from Brooke. But whatever. Second, Hope did not steal Liam. Steffy walked in on them making out and she dropped his ass, okay? So enough of the whining, Taylor, enough. Believe it or not, years ago, Taylor was my favorite character. And I was not a huge fan of Brooke's. And I just totally love Taylor. But she is not the same. She is totally different now. And annoying, honestly. She was very strong and independent. And I don't know. She's just very different now. The character's very different. Now I am more of a Brooke fan than a Taylor fan. And I'm surprised that I'm even saying this. Alright, let's talk about Hope and Liam. They seem to be very committed to each other at this point. Liam is finally not flip-flopping for once. And I hope that someone figures this out and we don't have to wait until Jacqueline gets back from maternity leave. But I'm telling you guys, it is not looking good. It's looking like this is going to be drug out for 2 years. So I hope that Hope and Liam can hang in there. I really do. Because I think they make a good couple. And I think that a lot of times a tragedy can bring you closer as a couple. It can also destroy you as a couple. So we'll have to just see what happens. Let's talk about Flo and Hope. I'm sorry. In my opinion, this is so twisted. Okay? It's just dark and it's twisted. They now have Hope feeling sorry for the woman who helped steal her baby. Like, I literally can't. Like, I cannot. How many more ways can they twist the knife? Right? They twisted and twisted, pour salt, and then they hit us over the head with it over and over and over and over and over constantly. Like, I'm so tired of all the false hope they keep giving us, right? Every week you're like, okay, the truth is going to come out. And every week your hopes are crushed. Thanks. Like, I really appreciate that. What bothers me too is that I don't want Hope to be feeling sorry for the woman that is part of the problem. Like, this is so, And what I mean by they keep hitting us in the face with it is that every chance they get, they make sure to say something that reminds you, oh yeah, this is Hope's baby. Like Liam saying, he can't wait to meet the person that brought Phoebe into the world. Come on. Really? Like, it's a lot. And it's dark and it's sad. And honestly, The Bold and the Beautiful usually does not drag storylines out. Like, normally their stories move fast. They move rather quickly. That's one of the reasons I really like this soap, is because an hour soap tends to stretch their stories will stretch for months and months. But The Bold and the Beautiful, usually their stories move fast, which is nice, because if you don't like a story that's happening, you know that, well, in a few weeks it'll be over. But they seem to just really want to torture everyone and really drag it out this time. So, hang in there is all I can tell you, because that's what I'm doing. Have some wine, like Renee said, because that'll help you get through the episodes. So that brings us to the end of the week. I'm sure there's more things that I could gripe about, but I'm going to leave it at that. If you haven't noticed, I'm not very happy about the storylines right now. They're just sad, right? And usually the soap opera's kind of funny, actually. I like that they tend to like to put comedy, especially with Bill. Bill's usually has a lot of funny one-liners and stuff. But man, it is hard to watch. So that brings us to the end of the episode. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your support. I really want to hear from you guys. Your comments, your predictions, your feedback. I really, really want to hear what you guys think. I can't be the only one out there who's literally losing their mind over this show. So you can get in touch with me at theboldandbeautifulpodcast.com. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure that you go on Facebook and join my group. If you enjoy the show, please give me a 5-star rating on whatever podcast directory you use. It helps the show to be seen by more people. I'll be back in your ears next week. Until then, bye guys.